Deltoid domination. Man, all right, we're finally on a consistent sleep schedule and getting a sufficient amount of hours of sleep a night. So I'm looking forward to the session today. I think we can take progressions across the board as usual. I got 5 sets of 30 on lateral. Deltoid domination. Man, all right, we're finally on a consistent sleep schedule and getting a sufficient amount of hours of sleep a night. So I'm looking forward to the session today. I think we can take progressions across the board as usual. I got 5 sets of 30 on lateral. Yeah, I got 5 sets of 30. I'm gonna try to do 15 for all of them. Last time I had to drop to 12 and a half for the last 3 sets. I'm gonna try to hold 15, see if I can get them all. If I don't get all the reps, not the end of the world. We'll just work up to it next time. This time I actually did like a little primer set. I took what I was been doing the other exercises and I did like a heavier set. So hopefully this 15 feels easier now. We'll find out. Okay. Decent first set. Sometimes you have a first set where it feels in a good spot and then the next set is harder. And then you have other times where your first set feels easier and then the sets after that first set feels harder, the second set feel easy. I don't even know what I said. But I'm hoping that I'm in the camp where the next set's gonna be a little bit easier than what they just were. Ooh, number 2. Oh. About the same as the first set. I'll take it. If you're doing dumbbell laterals instead of a typical like machine one, I'd highly recommend recording some sets because your range of motion can look drastically different. And not to say that you need to go to a certain range of motion, but if you're trying to track your progressive overload in one set, you're coming all the way up here, and then the other set, you're just basically doing partials, you're not really gonna know. And especially when you start to progress to heavier weights, it's almost inevitable that you're going to start cutting your range of motion a little bit if you're not on point about that. So that's like a huge benefit of recording the sets and half the reason I'm doing this. All right, I checked the notes and last time it was 15 for 2 sets and then 12 and a half for 3. So if we take 30 on this one, even that'll be progression. Ooh. Come on. I think I can get one more set with that. Might have to do 12 and a half for the last one, but I was so happy. Again, like when you you're doing lateral raises, like 12.5 to 15 is a lot bigger jump than it sounds in terms of percentage. So even just taking 2 sets of progression is pretty huge. Moment of truth here. Come on. All right, got 30, but if you look closely, those last 5 to 7 reps, probably started to get a little bit more traps, which you can't get the traps out of there entirely. But again, you want to think as much about the biggest cue that I think is super helpful is like you want to sweep the floor. Like you're sweeping, imagine there's like a half pipe around you and you're just trying to like sweep out and keep your hands and the dumbbells along the path the whole time rather than coming up. You just want to cue out and sweep across that entire arc. So towards the end, to get those last few reps out, they certainly weren't cheated reps or anything like that. They were still good reps, but you want to be hyper specific when you're trying to actually track progressions. You know what? I think I'm just going to try to go 15s again and see if the form breakdown happens again, where it's going to happen. And then I'll just make a note of that for my session and then address it next time rather than dropping the weight on this one. We want to push the limits a little bit. So yeah. The other thing I'm trying to be a little bit more mindful about is how I'm breathing on my 30 rep work, just because if you do your typical breathing that you're going to do on like a 6 to 8 repper, you're probably just going to be gassed by the end of a set. So I don't necessarily inhale and exhale on every eccentric and concentric, but it's still something I'm playing around with, because you can also go in the other direction of where you're not breathing enough at all, and then you're really limiting yourself, because when you're doing the higher rep work, you're kind of working a little bit more in the aerobic capacity endurance area. And there's definitely going to be like a greater demand for oxygen when it comes to metabolite accumulation, yada, 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 all that kind of stuff. So still something to experiment with. I've only been doing like, dude, I've never done 30 rep sets in my life before until 6 weeks ago. So it's an adjustment. Dude, honestly, that was a better set than the 4th set. And I think a little bit of that was the tempo, but I also just locked in a little extra hard. So we'll go on a rear delt action now. Somebody has been occupying the rear delt fly machine that I want to use for the better part of 5 minutes. So I thought I would take this time to do a quick test. So formerly, before I got, I mean, I'm not even that big, but before I got a little bit bigger, I used to have like pretty decent hops. Like I'm only like 5'8", 5'9", and I could almost touch rim when I was in high school. But I haven't really been doing that much athletic activity outside of tennis and snowboarding for a while. So I haven't really done too much jumping work necessarily. Used to play basketball like when I was in middle school. I didn't play in high school, I played only in middle school. But I want to get my backflip a lot better. There's a guy on TikTok, I forget his name exactly. My friend sends me his videos, and dude, he has like the cleanest backflip. It's just like a straight up, does the flip in air, and it's like the jumping motion just straight up, because when you have a bigger vertical, you can just carry yourself and that's enough to do the rotation. Whereas for me, like my vertical isn't really there yet. So I've been debating whether I want to add back in some like athletic jump, vertical height increasing style work. But I don't know, it might interfere with my other stuff. So I don't really want to throw in like stuff like box squats and jump squats and things like that and potentially take away from what I'm trying to do with my legs because I got to be extra dialed in on my legs. Like they're just not where they should be. So I might just casually do it, but every so often I'm gonna come back and check the backflip. So while I'm waiting for these people, hopefully I don't totally annihilate my neck or do something stupid. But I'm gonna take the mic off and see where the backflip is looking at the moment. Okay. That was probably not the worst one I've done in my life. Actually, that was pretty decent. There's a lot of times where I like mess it up and I'll like almost be landing on my hands. That one was pretty good. I'm decently happy with that. Maybe we'll throw back another one and see how it goes. Okay. This one was also pretty decent. Dude, I really think that if I locked in and trained actual jump squats and stuff for a little bit, because again, like it's like the same thing as when you're training traditional like strength work and movements, you're gonna have like a lot of progression at the beginning. Dude, I think I could get like another maybe 3-4 inches on the vertical, and that would translate really nice to like a clean backflip. So we'll see about continuing to experiment with that. But yeah, I'm satisfied with that. Fly machine is finally opened up. I'm gonna take off the mic for this one just because it gets in the way. So I don't know how much talking I'll be, but we will crank out 4 sets of this, and we're going up like a little baby progression. So yeah, let's get it. A little bit tough for the first set. Uh, Maybe it wasn't as dialed in on the form as I wanted to be. Again, with this, your form can pretty much look the same, but your internal cues are going to drastically change what's actually happening. One thing I want to think about is like keeping my shoulder blades down and not letting them hike up because I don't want, again, the traps to get too much involved. We're just trying to keep it rear delt focused. It's not like a big deal, but I'm going to try to lock in a little bit. This is honestly decently challenging weight, so there's some challenging sets, man. Rear delt pump is intact. These things are feeling like rocks right now. Not gonna lie, I kind of lost count on that one. I don't, hopefully that was 30. We'll just say it was 30. I was thinking a little bit about a cue of like normally I just cue about thinking out. Now I'm almost trying to think of in the back of my palm to the wall behind me, almost like you're getting like a better squeeze on the rear delt. So I don't know, just little tweaks here and there. Nothing that's going to make a big difference. Remember, at the end of the day, as long as you're consistent, you're training with intensity, literally 95% of the game. I just realized I accidentally forgot to record my last set there, but nothing else, nothing different from the rest of them, so no big deal. Go on to seated overhold. Oh, good gosh, man. Seated overhead shoulder press now. For some reason, I was a dummy and I didn't write down how much weight I wanted to increase for these sets. So I'm just gonna go up with 2.5. 30 reps on the overhead press, not the most fun thing in the world. Yep. To be honest, I think it was easier than the last time when we were doing a 2.5 on each side. But at the same time, I doubt those two sets look exactly the same. I was probably going a little bit faster on these reps. Maybe the first few ones I wasn't locking just as much out. Huge weight on the bar here, 10 on each side, man. Absolutely massive. Ooh, pretty gnarly one, that one. I want to say I started to arch a little bit more, get a little bit more chest action in there. So I'll go up and weight next time just for the hell of it. But right at around like 15, that was the sticking point where I was like, okay, this is a tough set. Up to 15 on each side. Ooh, total neck. Not feeling the best. All right, hopefully I don't totally mess myself up. 15. What? I did not put the weight on the other side. Oh shit. Better. Oops. Decent enough. Set 3 or set 4. Gotta go smooth, man. I'm scared. Jesus. One. Okay, we're not going up in weight next time. I was scuffed in a half, bro. Surprised I didn't mess up my neck worse. All right, something to work on. To the bent over dumbbell laterals. Figured this time, since I'm bending over like this, I should probably add like a head support so I can keep my torso in the same position and do the reps. Just so I'm not doing too much of like this action. Yeah, I don't know why this weight is feeling like a lot heavier than I thought it was gonna be. me say 10 with 2. The form was not what I wanted it to be on that. So we'll do it again. Rest period. Let me move this mic so I don't smash my face into it every set. Right, this was like probably 12 with 1. Form broke down like a little bit at the end. Maybe could have squeezed out another one, partial rep. But yeah, I think at the start of the last set, I was turning my hands out, similar to just like a normal lateral raise. I'm trying to get rear delts, I'm pretty sure, with this, so I just changed it a little bit. It's better. I'm just going to say 11 with 1 and call it there. I'm not liking what's happening in the form here. It's feeling a little bit off, so we'll just cut it there and then go 2 sets of front raises and be done. I'm out of my mind, man. I'm losing my mind. Dude, I'm not going to lie, I got lucky this workout. I can tell that if I didn't warm up and foam roll my back at the beginning, if maybe I went a little bit harder on a couple of the sets I did, dude, my neck would have been screwed. I can tell it's like on its last limbs before it gives out. With 1. I'm just gonna say 1. Maybe it was 2. I'm just gonna say 1. Final set of the session. Ugh. Okay, just 11 and 0. All right, I'm not gonna go to the posing room, mostly because I don't feel like taking all my stuff and going over there, and I have to play tennis later today and do other stuff. But also, I am natural, small, and low-key a little bit chubby, so there's not even really anything to see. So I can settle with like maybe like a little side tricep like this, and that's about the most I need to see. I don't have synthol delts, unfortunately. It is what it is. Good session. Progressions everywhere again. I will have one more workout in this phase 2, cycle 4, and then I'll get a new program from the coach and start filling that next week. So yeah.